Is the room getting larger or are you getting smaller?
You're freaking me out.
All right. Hello, everyone.
And, we strive to try and come up with different topics every year, and I thought it would be kind of fun, mainly because my wife has been watching like nonstop Facts of Life since she discovered that streaming service. That we would talk about Halloween-themed sitcom episodes. You know, the ones that are supposed to scare you. And they were really special at one time, and then they sort of became like the trope.
Right.
And, you know, to follow their evolution, the shows got downright, like, ridiculous. Like, Modern Family Halloween episodes, you know, trying to top it every year. And it's just... it's kind of funny how something that I used to look forward to, and I still kind of enjoy, is really like cringe now too.
Well, I was trying to think about, you know, what one of the earliest ones might have been, if like Lucy did one or something like that. And I couldn't think of anything, but I remember being a kid and, you know, you get excited about maybe the holiday stuff coming up or the, you know, Peanuts Christmas or things like that. And, you know, there used to be a couple of specials, and then as the years went on, there was a Grinch Halloween special, and then there was, you know, but whenever the promos would start to run of Halloweenish themed episodes of anything, I always got kind of giddy as a kid because it was like I felt like it was being done for us. I felt like whatever the show was, if it was, you know, Barney Miller or whatever,
you're nailing it. I felt catered to.
Yeah, it felt like we were being catered to. That it was like, we're kind of doing this for the kids. Like I didn't know that adults really celebrated Halloween or got drunk on Halloween or whatever. But it also being my favorite holiday, the mentality became like, oh my God, we're just going to have so much Halloween stuff coming. And, you know, it felt like you were kind of being winked to, you know, through the camera kind of.
I absolutely agree. And, so these were always kind of fun. The earliest one I could think of, you know, watching it as a kid, and I don't even think it's a Halloween-themed episode, but would be the Dick Van Dyke Show. They did one where I think it's like a parody of The Twilight Zone or Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Okay.
And basically, I forget what it is, but I think the aliens come down in walnuts and then take people over, and you can tell they've been taken over because they have like eyes in the back of their heads, and it's a really silly episode. But Rob's like, I think the classic scene is he opens the closet, and there's just like 1,000 walnuts come out, and Mary Tyler Moore comes pouring out with them. And,
oh my God, you know, this is ringing a very, very
bell. And it creeped me out as a kid. Like it was, you know, that was a very medium scare, and I was a kid, you know. But
was it all a dream kind of?
It was all a dream, yeah.
It was all a dream. Okay.
Yeah. Now they list. I was looking at a list of Halloween themed sitcoms, and there's some DVDs out there. And they listed a different episode of the Dick Van Dyke Show about a ghost, and I can't recall that. I mean, you know, if you put a gun to my head and said name 3 Dick Van Dyke plots that you remember, I would have to be like making up 2 of those.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, I watched it all the time too.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you. I remember the running gag was Rob had gone to the movies. Something happened in the theater, or he fell asleep or something, and you know, he kept trying to tell the story, and each person he told, they'd say, "Oh, what did you fell asleep in the theater?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then, "What did you go see?" And he's like, "The Guns of Navarone." And then the other person would go, "You fell asleep during the Guns of Navarone?" And it kept being the running gag. But as a kid, I went, "I've seen the Guns of Navarone." Like it was like, "Oh, I get that joke. I knew it."
Yeah. Oh,
it's like a horror movie. I got that.
I understood that reference.
I got that reference.
Yeah.
But I don't really remember. I don't think I remember. I'm kind of the Body Snatcher one is ringing a bell, a very distant bell. But I remember. I remember more. Things like the Love Boat and those types of shows that had more of a Halloween kind of theme. They have more than sitcoms.
They had the Love Boat. We'll get into, but I think the first one I vaguely remember is I think the Brady Bunch kids did a haunted house episode.
Okay.
Where they're, I think, trying to scare their parents. I can't remember what the deal was, but I was more interested in their craft on that episode because they were showing they were doing the effect more than I thought it was scary. But
well, I can tell you the earliest one I remember and laughing at is the Happy Days episode when Ralph Malph is going to throw a Halloween party or something
in a haunted house.
They do it in the haunted house.
I was just, by the way, that's where I was going.
Oh, were you? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
because that's one of the few that I kind of, it was on like clockwork every time it got close to Halloween, and but it's something to do with the sharks or some kind of leather guys, the leather boys.
I can't remember if it was like a rival gang. Yeah. But at the end of the episode, this headless woman comes down the stairs.
Yes,
my head, and it turns out to be one of those biker dudes or something. And
yes, and it's creepy.
It actually really worked.
And I remember the running gag was Happy Halloweeny.
Yeah.
And that became a thing we'd say around the house, or we'd sort of, secret handshake with people. Happy Halloweeny. It was a way a kid could
secret
say
handshake with like one of the most popular television shows.
Yeah, but it was like when you were a little kid, you were doing it like I just said weenie.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
We didn't think of weenie as like an older term that guy's such a weenie. We thought of it as, hey, he just got his weenie out,
that episode, I even remember what Ralph Malph went as. I think he's Alfred Hitchcock.
Oh, geez, I don't remember that. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Oh, that's good. That's got to be mid-70s, early mid-70s, maybe?
That's 74.
Jeez.
I don't think I would have seen that live. That probably I saw it rerun.
Was the first season of Happy Days 74?
Yeah, looks that way.
Boy, they didn't waste any time after American Graffiti then, did they? It just...
Well, yeah, but Ron Howard had also been in an early pilot for that on Love American Style.
That's right. It was like a kind of... It
was called Love and
pilot?
Happy Days. Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
So
that's right.
I don't know what chicken or egg situation's going on in there.
Okay, that's a good mystery.
Yeah,
okay.
Well, one that could be easily solved, but,
How do you mean?
Well, there's a website called Ask Jeeves.
Name me the book, and I'll go find it.
It's a 1-800 number, I believe. I'll have to ask my grandson.
But that's the one, that's probably, and I bet there was like a Laverne and Shirley Halloween episode. I can picture Lenny and Squiggy wearing costumes of something.
What I find interesting is I remember like all of those wacky Christmas Carol sitcom episodes, like the WKRP one and the Family Ties one and the Sanford and Son one. But I don't remember the Laverne and Shirley Halloween episode. And that's weird because I watched a ton of that, a metric ton of Laverne and Shirley.
There must have been a couple.
There's one. It came out in 1977, or at least according to this list. Maybe there were multiple ones. I'm not sure. Because I've never been that bored.
I mean, I think, it became a thing where, it must have done a little something for the ratings, like Halloween stuff. There were a lot of Halloween specials and spooky things, and they must have started to, especially in the 70s, it was like, oh, do a Halloween episode, that's going to get a lot of viewing. And, and so everybody kind of started to catch on. I mean, it didn't really happen in, drama. I don't think there was a Rockford Files that was Halloween themed or anything, but But
I think there's a Starsky and Hutch that is. I think there's a guy pretending to be Dracula.
Well, no, I was going to say there is a I think it's called the Vampire or Vampire something or something Vampire. I think there is one about Dracula or a vampire that they're chasing down. And
yeah, I remember it as a kid actually.
Yeah. But was that specifically a Halloween thing?
I would imagine it was.
Okay.
Because that seems right. But let's look that up. Starsky and Hutch, because I'm more interested in that. Are we correct? And was it John Saxon? Yes.
Oh, it was John Saxon?
I think it was. When dancers are discovered strangled and with their necks punctured, Starsky and Hutch head out to put the bite on the blood-sucking freak behind a series of vampire-style slayings.
Awesome.
Pretty awesome, yeah.
I love that show. I friggin', especially the early episodes where it's just out of its mind, killing people and shooting. It's but
yeah, that's the first
show.
season with the it's kind of got a Dirty Harry, like it doesn't have that funky soundtrack. It has that like a dun 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 dun. Like it's really trying to give a mood that goes away by the second season.
Yeah. Second season, it's like, wait, we can sell toys with this, I think.
Yeah.
But it's like, great theme. Yeah, I remember the vampire one. I don't know if I saw it when it aired, but I remember it.
Definitely syndication for me. Oh no, that one I think I saw as a kid on television. And it freaked me out a bit because I didn't know what I was watching. I think the vampire grabs a woman in the middle of the day, and I looked for years for that horror movie. And then,
oh, sure.
And then one day I was watching Starsky and Hutch, and I'm like, oh, that was the thing.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Because how would you know? You wouldn't know.
Yeah. And yes, it was John Saxon.
It was John Saxon. That's right.
Playing René Nadasi.
Dr. Alucard.
Now
I was thinking about
that's Dracula Doctor spelled backwards.
I was thinking about the Love Boat because you love that stuff and fantasy and stuff. But now what is okay? It's not a drama and it's not a sitcom / comedy. So what is it kind of labeled as? What are those shows? It's not Hotel. Which was like
but Love Boat. Love Boat has a laugh track, sir.
So it is a sitcom. Is that what it is?
Yes.
But it's an hour long.
Yes. So.
Well, you can't be throwing around.
Sometimes
rules like
they
that.
do back-to-back Mork and Mindy's.
They do, but okay. So
like
but
the time Mork shrunk to that tiny kingdom. Remember that?
Like is Fantasy Island an anthology show?
Yes, I would say it was a anthology fantasy, fantasy type series. Yes,
because I think it might qualify as an anthology show because you basically have the whole. I mean, it's a each one is
it's a little more soap opera-y than the average
fantasy.
Fantasy.
It's not a genre. It's more.
And when I say soap opera-y, I don't mean Dark Shadows. I mean more like Guiding Light or Days of Our Lives.
But is it science fiction? Is it fantasy? Where does it fall? It's a weird hybrid because each one is a fantasy. It's like something that is being manipulated or happening, or the island has power.
I would put it at it's a fantasy because nothing's ever explained. It's always just an illusion, right?
I guess. I mean, I was trying to think if it was ever in Starlog, if it ever had an article in Starlog, because it was a fantasy show. It was. Yeah. It wasn't science fiction as such, but it. But
I mean, it's not exactly Harlan Ellison and DC Fontana writing it, but it has its minutes. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll say Love Boat is a sitcom.
Sitcom, absolutely.
And that had to have a bunch of Halloween crap.
It really, really does. The one I liked the best, and I just recently rewatched a whole ton of Love Boat, would be the Halloween episode with Vincent Price.
Okay, I don't remember that one at all, but I'll look for it. What season?
Yeah. Oh, now you got me.
Because I can look up.
Oh, yeah, it is actually, let's go here. It is Ship of Ghouls, October 28th, 1978.
Ship of Ghouls. I see what they did there.
Yeah, it's pretty clever. I think this might be the one where Isaac, Doc, Gopher dress like the Universal monsters.
Ooh.
And Isaac's Frankenstein, Gopher's Dracula, which is funny because he just came from Monster Squad.
Right.
And I can't believe I haven't made those action figures yet. Patent pending. Like
you've really been letting the side down there.
Yeah. Yeah. I could have my own yacht. It's really one of those things that resonated with me as a kid. I remember thinking it was funny, and I'm pretty sure that's like the first season. And I watched it, I guess, about 2-3 years ago in a snowstorm, and I still thought it was kind of funny. You know, like it still had good jokes in it.
You have to. The thing about that show is, and I haven't seen it in 100 years, and I started watching it recently, maybe 5 or 6 of them. It's so broad. Like the acting and the jokes are so broad that you'd think it was made in the 50s. Like it is. It really doesn't seem like the 70s.
A lot of the Love Boat guests were popular then.
Well, no, it's not. It's not even that. It's like everybody comes on, like, "Hi, I'm John Smith. This is my wife Kathy, and these are our children." It's like, can you slow down?
Yeah,
there's 600 other people behind. Like, they're all just waiting there.
Here's our bank address and account number.
Yeah, just walking up to Julie, like, going, "Are we on the list?" Like,
well, it's not even that.
Ship,
it's not even that. It's to get to the level of like they're all of a sudden just going like, "My dad died last year," and you're like, "What?"
Yeah, it's what it's doing is as soon as they show up in the first line or two,
yeah,
they're telling you who the character is.
Yeah,
like one of them, Isaac's uncle showed up and he gives not Julie but the kid, Stubing's kid. Also, shouldn't she be in school? What is she doing on the boat? I never understood that. Or like, where's the wife or whatever? I forget.
Don't worry about it.
He gives her a flower. Oh, enchanté, blah blah blah. And then Isaac comes up and starts bad, like, what are you doing here? And they're like, Isaac, what are you doing talking to this man this way? And then you find out he's the uncle and he's shady and then blah, blah, blah. And he takes the flower back. Like, it's this, the character shows up, barely says their name, and you go, oh, that is the mom who's trying to get a rich husband for the daughter. You know, that's the guy who always gets the girl, but his friend doesn't. It's just very...
Are you sitting down?
Yeah, I am sitting down.
I'm going to just tell you that they didn't really care. It wasn't.
No, of course not.
This was not artisanally crafted.
The show was on for 9 years, but it's a level of, it's a type of, it's hard to categorize what that show was because it's so big and so broad. And, I mean, yeah, there's an occasional great line here and there, but it is written very, very broadly, and everybody
very safe.
Very safe, very broad, and clearly it was hugely popular. It ran for 9 seasons, but it is this. It does. I'm trying to think of what was near it that even resembles it. That's what makes it unique, I think, because there really isn't. I mean, Fantasy Island would be the thing that's closest to it, but it's not. It's got comedic elements in it, but it's not a comedy. And it's different. It's more, it maybe deals with heavier subjects and such. Yeah, but Love Boat is very unique in that way. Yeah, it doesn't really have a cousin. No. It doesn't really have something I can think of.
I think. Well, actually, it did. It had a couple of people tried to copy that formula. I think.
Right, but with what though? That's what I was trying to.
Yeah, well, the one I remember, and I think this one was was actually made by Aaron Spelling. So, he was trying to do it, copy his own thing, but it was called Paradise Aloaha.
Oh my God.
Aloha Paradise. And it had that same, like, welcome to paradise. Oh, no, I don't want a copyright strike. But, that kind of like, Love Boaty type theme song. Like, what is that? Jack Jones?
Jack Jones.
Yeah. And Paul Williams. That.
And it's funny. It's comedic, like Love Boat was.
Yeah. It was a comedy. Instead of being on a boat, they were on a resort. and scene. And it had Debbie Reynolds.
Oh, wow.
Bill Daly, who I was
Oh,
like for the Bob Newhart show.
yeah.
Pat Klaus. I don't know that name.
Oh, I got to look this up. I don't remember this at all.
Stephen Shortridge. That's Bo. Oh, no wonder he bombed. He was there. No offense to Stephen Shortridge.
Right. He's probably listening.
He's probably, yeah.
Or his kids are. So, okay. So Love Boat.
I don't want to alienate one of our listeners.
Love Boat would be the kind of show that I would imagine did a Halloween thing every season. They must have done something.
I think they did quite a few. I know there's more than one.
That would have been big ratings.
Yeah, because they're getting that's right. The big gimmick was to, have the crew have a matching costume every year.
Oh, okay. All right. That makes sense.
Yeah, like, the Universal Monsters theme, and I'm positive they did the Wizard of Oz. Like, I won't look it up, but I'm positive that happened.
And then Julie got a hold of the cocaine, and it was just the Warhol films like Frankenstein and Flesh for Frankenstein, and it's so insane.
We're doing Videodrome.
Just an insane voyage that episode. What about like Maude or did All in the Family? Did any of these have?
I don't think they would go for those gimmicks.
I don't think Barney Miller did either. They might have had somebody in costume for an episode or something, but
that was a regular episode.
Yeah. Well, the guy thought he was a wolf man. Thought he was a werewolf.
That's right. I remember that one.
Yeah.
And I actually, dumb little kid, wondered if it was going to happen or not. Because
it was a documentary, so that would probably be why. That's probably why. You never know what was going to happen on that show. It was in real time, real life.
Yeah.
What about like Good Times or the Jeffersons? The Jeffersons did one. They did. I remember all four of them being in costume.
Yeah.
Or something. But that was probably at a swinger party because I think those couples swapped on that show. I don't know.
Who was getting the better end of that deal?
Hard to tell.
Oh, wait, I know.
Yeah. Oh, and I did see one with Sherman Hemsley and Love Boat. He was Sherman Hemsley, and he's married to who's the character that always hit Fred Sanford with the purse? What was her name?
Oh, Aunt Hester. Yeah,
Aunt Hester.
I've seen that one, and they're really funny together.
They just go at each other like every other line. But I still love you. Yeah. And the next line is like, "But you stink" or whatever.
Yeah, and he's like, that should have been spun off into its own series.
Should have.
And it would just be a single bedroom, and they're the new Bickersons, because that was actually you just reminded me of how funny that episode is.
Well, there was another one with
they also changed the soundtrack, I think, in that one a little bit. Like there's a little saxophone going when those two are.
Really? I don't
so.
I don't remember that. But
okay, maybe I'm imagining that, but it was really funny.
There was another one I just saw with I forget her name all of a sudden, but Mrs. Jefferson. That not Esther Roll. Is that Esther Roll, or is that the woman from Good Times?
That's the mom from Good Times.
So who was
who was Wheezy Jefferson?
She shows up and she's Isaac's
Elizabeth Sanford.
Okay, there you go. That's why I'm getting mixed up because of the last name. But the episode opens with Gopher, Doc, Julie, and Isaac coming on board the boat going, "Oh my God, that was the worst experience we've had on land since I don't know when." And it turns out Isaac convinced them to go see his aunt who was in Macbeth. They had to go see the play Macbeth, and it was the worst thing they've ever seen. It was terrible. And then that's who shows up. She played Lady Macbeth in the play and gets on the boat, and they're saying how wonderful her performance was. I mean, it's a wacky show. It's very, very wacky. Very silly. You can see why kids watched it and mentally challenged people. No, I'm kidding. It's a fun show. It's cute. What else? What else you got? Well, there's list. Let's just, you know what? Let's just do all the Cosby shows that had Halloween themes. Anything he was associated with.
Yeah. Well, Leonard Part 6 sucks.
Fat Albert Halloween special. Wouldn't you say, though, that around the mid-'70s, there suddenly were a lot more Halloween specials?
Yeah, I would have to say that, I think it's just like one follows the other in popularity.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to think that because of Rankin Bass doing the half-hour things, as a kid, I kind of thought that Mad Monster Party was a Halloween special that I had missed.
Yeah, well, actually, I kind of wondered, this is one of the things I remember most about the week of Halloween, is like, where are these Godzilla movies all the rest of the year? Like, what else you not showing me?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just one of those things that always, Halloween was like when people brought out some really cool stuff that you didn't see all the rest of the year. Like I didn't have Creature Feature or anything cool like that where I lived, so this was really special.
Yeah, it felt like the programming was slanted toward Halloween, scary stuff, monster stuff more.
Yeah.
In fall. Well, okay, what else you got for sitcoms? You got your little list there, right? You're talking
Yeah, I dropped it. I'm trying to find it again. But I will say that there is a Facts of Life Halloween episode.
Well, didn't take long to get the Facts of Life.
Never does.
What were they? Oh, is this the one where they think she's a cannibal or something? I read about this a million years ago.
Oh.
Or they think Mrs. Garrett is maybe a murderer or something like that, or...
Yeah, I'm trying to find it right now because...
Didn't Mrs. Garrett and Natalie kind of have a thing, like a Batman and Robin thing going on?
Like, in general?
She was her ward or something, or kind of took her
No,
under.
I never quite got that there was any favoritism thrown towards Natalie. They just all had a different relationship. Why are we talking about this?
No, not on the show, in real life. Life.
Yeah, I think they were close. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I think that is true.
It could just be a rumor. I don't know.
Yeah.
It could be the same person that spread the Pop Rocks Bubble Yum
Mikey. Head explode thing?
Exploded, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, in Vietnam.
Yeah, he was in Vietnam. Mikey went to Vietnam.
Let me look this up for 2 seconds because I do want to get the details right, and they're all starting to merge in my head right now.
Oh, okay. So you didn't you just recently watch a Fact?
It was on, and I watched a bit of it, but I came in at the end, and I'm like, oh yeah, they did a Halloween episode. This would be fun, and here we are. Yeah, it's like which one? Oh, this has got the main cast. So,
has it got Joe? Is Joe in it?
Joe Polnicek, yeah. You know what you also learn is when you watch the show, and as much as I have lately, Joel Polnicek's dad, like Mo Green from The Godfather.
Oh, yeah.
He is in that show a lot.
Alex Rocco. He's a legend.
Yeah. And midway through the show, he starts dyeing his hair. And, like, it goes from being just completely gray to this, like, I don't know, it's like dirt and gray. It's not quite brown.
Wasn't Joe, whose actual name is escaping me, Nancy McKeon? Was it
Nancy McKeon, yeah.
Didn't her brother, wasn't he the son on Alice?
Yeah, he just passed away recently.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I always wonder what happened to him because he never really kept going, it seemed, after Alice. I don't know what he was in.
Yeah, I don't know, but when, if you watch an Alice now, you can see that they're brother and sister. They have the same kind of speech pattern.
Oh, yeah. Same mouth, same...
Yeah.
There's a new girl in town.
When's that getting its reboot?
Yeah, what's going on, America?
Halloween is coming up, and Mrs. Garrett is dealing with a meat shortage affecting the shop. I'm not going there. Meanwhile, Natalie is describing strange activity.
There's a meat shortage on that show. Sorry.
Oh, dear.
And you started it.
I didn't. And weird dreams in the house. A local man named Bigley swings up to ask for an order and tells the story of the Gruber sisters who lived on the property before being killed by one of their own. Yeah.
Wait. The guy who's going to be the meat supplier is called Big Lee?
Mm-hmm.
Boy, they're just asking for trouble from me, this synopsis.
He wants to help with the meat supply. Yeah.
Big Lee is going to help with
even I have to say this was written very
poorly worded synopsis.
Oh, you know who plays Mr. Bigley, though? It is Ian Wolfe.
He and Wolfe. Help
He
me
was
out.
Mr. A to Z on Star Trek.
Now, this is the original show, Star Trek?
Yeah, remember the big library, and he sends people back in time, and he sends Spock into a cave, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite Spock lines ever. It's like, I don't like that. I don't think I ever have. Like,
Yeah.
McCoy's giving him shit, and Spock's like, I don't like that. I don't think I ever have, or something.
Yeah.
Like, he's regressing into, like, caveman shit. But I just love that. Shut up, McCoy. I'm sick of your shit.
Yeah.
Spock. I don't think I ever have.
I'd still like to know the logic of going back in time and you're now becoming like your ancestors because you're back in time.
Well, Mariette Hartley, I mean, she was pretty tasty in those.
Oh,
first,
I get
that'll get
that.
You
No,
anything
well,
caveman.
Yeah, but that's like saying, we wouldn't be able to survive if we went back 30 years from now. We wouldn't turn into our 30-year selves, ourselves 30 years ago.
Maybe osmosis. Maybe just, maybe it's one of those sensory things. He's looking around. He sees the cave.
It's like he's on Wi-Fi.
Right. Maybe it's the energy where he's going. That's something to do with it too. I don't know. I never thought of that. I just bought it. Now you've ruined that line. Now that line sucks.
Sorry.
Greatest Spock line ever. Okay, I remember Mr. A to Z now. That's random. Yeah. He was Mr. Lee, Big Lee, who brought the meats.
Yes.
Right, on that Facts of Life episode.
Yes.
But was it spooky? Were people in costumes?
Yeah, I think there's but it's campy.
Right.
The lightning and it's more like the Agatha Christie type thing.
Right.
You turn on the lights and turn off the lights. I don't even know what that's from.
Turn on the lights, turn off the lights?
Those kind of like Agatha Christie type things where, the lights go dark and someone's murdered.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like kind of a, what's it called? There's a word for it. Something like mystery. Yeah, like a coffee table mystery or something like that. I'm getting the term wrong. Yeah. Okay, so there's Facts of Life. Different Strokes had to have done some stuff.
Yes, and the one I recall, because I can't unsee it, was this is when the show is really, really tanking. Like they have brought in another kid.
They brought in another kid for that kid.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. Like, I think
a little redhead.
Yeah, I don't think Kimberly's on the show anymore due to problems. Willis is still there, but Arnold is shaving.
Right.
And, there's still, it's like that SCTV sketch, Oh, That Rusty.
Right.
Where they got the 40-year-old guy playing a kid. Because this show has just never stopped being popular. He's starting to get too old for the role.
Yeah.
But he also still kind of looks like a kid, and there's the juxtaposition. So they team him up. I think what it is, and this episode is embarrassing. They team up with because they think our building's haunted.
Mm-hmm.
Because they keep seeing ghosts and stuff. And they go back, and I can't remember what they decide to do, but they come in Ghostbuster uniforms.
Oh, so that show was still going in 84.
Yeah. And he's like, it was nice of your mom to make these Ghost Breaker outfits for us. And it's like, well, we missed all that in the commercial. And, it's just obvious they wanted that clip of them dressed as the Ghostbusters so that you could show it on TV, on the commercial. And
get people to show up.
And here I was. And it was just, it was Ray Bolger. And he was hiding in the house with he's the wizard, basically, and he comes out after hiding, he's using the ghost to scare people away because
he's homeless.
That's what a sane person does.
Is he squatting? Is that what he's doing?
No, he's like a rich guy and he's just been living by himself for like 20 years, making people run away, and the kids somehow get him to come out, and they go for ice cream, and it's just like, this is I can just remember going, wow, this show's really good.
Ripped right from the headline.
It was never that good, but it's never been that bad, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It was that heightened, it was that era of like, give me a break and, different stuff where everything was just kind of, it was like a height, it's one of those like not old fashioned, but just a sitcom that you can hear the laugh track coming from a block away, as opposed to like a WKRP or a Barney Miller or these things that were much more, Taxi or whatever. There was this slew of stuff on NBC.
Subtlety.
Yeah, the NBC stuff was much more, and rated kind of tame sitcom.
Oh yeah,
but
I think the networks change that hat every so often, where this is where the dumb stuff goes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because at the same time you had, Cosby was on this. Forget about him, but that lineup where you had, I think Cheers was on in that Thursday night thing, and Family Ties. They were sitcoms that had wide appeal, but they weren't like different strokes kind of sitcoms or facts.
Oh yeah, no, I know what you're saying, and that's just because like. I guess the further you can push the boat out in terms of appeal without totally insulting the audience is that happy place, but it's not good.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay.
But in most of the cases the show was on forever. Like Punky Brewster. I think that show ran for 17 years. Like it was just on forever. And it was just like, who's watching this? Who is this for? But
you know what? I'm still struggling with who that was for. Because it was like written for children and by children. Like some of the dialogue on that show was like, and I was like 12 watching it, so it's not.
But then I know how this is going to sound before I even say it, but then you had a show like My Two Dads, which is ridiculous on its surface and, whatever. But it was still smarter than that. You had Greg Evigan and Paul Reiser and their banter and their jokes. It's not a show that I watched particularly, but it was just, it was weird the differences between some of the shows and like what the lineups were, and who these things were for. Like Blossom I never got either, but
no,
but I hope she's okay.
Yeah, I didn't understand that show at all.
Blossom had a lot to deal with, but
I was not probably the demographic they were seeking.
She must have had a Halloween episode. Growing Pains must have had a Halloween. What did I say? Family Ties. That's what I was thinking of. But Growing Pains must have had something like all those 80s shows must have had Halloween.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a path they all had to walk down. Just like in the 70s, all these shows had to go to Hawaii.
Yes, and it was always like, you're right, it was always like the next season premiere kind of thing. Like, it would be like, they'd always do a travel thing to launch the career, and this week on Laverne and Shirley, they go to Hawaii or whatever, and that would immediately get ratings because they went on location somewhere. I'll tell you what I think. Now, this isn't a sitcom per se, but I have to, we probably mentioned it 100 years ago on some other Halloween episode, but the Hardy Boys two-parter about Dracula's castle.
Yeah.
That first episode where there's a costume ball and Paul Williams, I mean, you get none more 70s than that. And one of the guys in the band,
I think it's a room full of Don Post masks.
Full of Don Post masks.
And he is not Paul Williams being dragged out to sing the hell of it for the millionth time.
He starts with the hell of it, and then he's going to take a break, and then Sean is going to go up and do a song, which I think was a hit that year or the year before. Come on, everybody, get down, get with that tune. But the guys they meet up with in the middle of, Transylvania, wherever the hell they are, there's like 3 Brits that have a band, but they don't have a singer. And one of them is Bernie Taupin of Elton John, Bernie Taupin fame.
Oh, weird.
And he's in the band, so he's got a bunch of lines, and he's, very stilted delivery. So you got Bernie Taupin, as big as you could get in the 70s. Sean Cassidy, massive. Parker Stevenson went off to do some investigating because Sean got all the attention. Nancy Drew's in the episode. Lauren Green is doing a Transylvanian accent in the episode.
And Lauren Green, I think, does the commercial, too. Like the voiceover for the commercial.
Oh, really?
I could be wrong. But yeah,
I love the theme. The opening theme to the Hardy Boys Mysteries is one of the coolest TV themes ever. It's like a weird synthesizer, like it's really moody and horns kind of kick in, and tonight's episode, Monkey Do, Monkey Die, or something.
Yeah, and, I actually kind of remember my sister really liked those shows, but I could not. I guess maybe it was my age or what it was, but I couldn't focus on them unless they had like a Dracula element to them.
Did y'all ever have those shows though, where those people that, that if the guy was so handsome that it kind of made you feel funny, like not funny, like ooh he's so handsome, kind of like it's tasty. It's more like he's so cool. Like there's something about being a kid and noticing the Magnum PIs of the world, of these guys that are, the handsome ones, that you go like, yeah, that guy's cool. Or there's something that just kind of, you kind of can't take your eyes off of, because you're like, okay, so this is what girls are going to want down the road. Like
what you're describing is every time I see Dr. Henry Kissinger.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Very, very, very.
And what it is, women want him. Men want to be him.
Yes. And men fear him as well.
Yes.
But there's, if you just find the clip, I think there's a clip of just the hell of it. And it's fantastic. It's so.
Oh yeah, I watched that clip. It's a lot of fun, and I think I put it on like once a year, but the whole special's a little bit of a tough watch for me.
Oh, absolutely it is. But just the fact that it was, that's a great example of like, well, Halloween's coming up. Let's go to Dracula's castle. We'll do that.
Yeah.
And
you know what? I go there in July, so I'm always in.
Right.
Yeah.
But, that's a great moment in Halloween.
Do you remember this one though? Mindy's the Morkville Horror.
No, but I was going to say, I bet there was a Mork and Mindy that had.
Yeah, I remember this. It took some some jogging, because it's probably been 30 years since I've seen it, but they're selling Mindy's old house, I believe, and Mork can hear ghosts.
Mm.
And it's one of those things that he's like sensitive to them, and I think at the end he says something with Mindy's mother's voice or something.
I was going to say, I bet there was an excuse to get him possessed or something, because then Robin Williams can do different voices.
Hello. Yeah. It's hard to believe. Like, and this is during that, I think it's the second season where they added all these people they would later fire.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that show, and I could be wrong about this, but they moved it around. Like, I think it was like Killing on a Thursday night when it showed up. Like, it became ginormous in one season.
Yeah.
But then they moved it. I want to say they moved it to like Saturday night or Sunday night or something. And, it died. And then
and you know what? I don't know how we circled back to this, but that 1 hour Mork where he shrank and went to a new universe, that was an hour-long special.
I forgot about that. Holy shit.
Yeah, I have never forgotten about it. I don't know why. That was
God.
Weird as hell and awesome.
Yeah, I have to look this up now.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I never would have thought of that again until you said that.
Yeah.
He shrank himself and went to another universe? Is that
Yeah, because I think he had a cold.
Yes, he kept shrinking. He kept getting smaller because he had a cold.
She had given him a cold pill, and it shrank your membrane or something, and he's like, I'm all membrane, and whoop. And,
my God.
Science be damned.
I completely forgot about that episode. I have to look that up now. Just vague memories of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it seemed very sci-fi to me, like any kind of.
Oh, I was like, why isn't this a weekly series that stars? That stars George Jefferson and
the fat guy from Land of the Giants. But it.
If he's not available, maybe we can get Roger C. Carmel.
But the show never recovered. Like when you think about Mork and Mindy, you kind of think like, oh, this was a 70s sitcom, like it did really well for years. And it's like once they moved it and then tried to move it back to Thursday, I think it never recovered the momentum. I mean, it was kind of a gimmicky thing anyway, so it probably wasn't gonna.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Like there really wasn't the legs unless you. I guess that's what they were trying to do in that second season is like have more interesting characters other than Mork, but the problem was it just always was about Mork.
Yeah, who's the guy that the guy was crazy wearing a caftan?
Oh, Exodor.
Exodor, was he in the first season or only?
I think he was. I think he came and went on that show.
I mean, he was kind of funny.
Yeah,
you have to admit that's an insane kind of character to throw in there.
You know what's fun is when you see him on another show.
Yes.
And I'm like, you always just go Exodor.
You know what I do that with? You know the Buck Rogers episode, How Could You Not, that has Jamie Lee Curtis in it, and it's like I think
that's the wonderful Prison Break episode. I love
with the
that
guy
one.
with the guy that's got a scarred face, like half a face.
Yeah, it's basically where Terminator stole everything.
Yeah, but you know the guy I'm talking about that has like the half a face, kind of tall, skinny guy.
Like, oh yeah, that guy. That's the plot to Kill a City.
He's in everything.
I think he's in another Buck Rogers the season after.
I think he was also in a Battlestar Galactica. I think he was on Rockford Files. Like he
I think he was on a Love
Boat. First time I saw his face, and you never really saw the whole face, but I could tell the next time I saw him, I went, "That's the guy that was in that episode of Buck Rogers." Like, and then every time to this day, if I see that face in anything, I'm like, that's the guy from that Buck Rogers episode.
I just saw him in something, and it was an unusual part for him, I thought.
I mean, what a face on that guy. Like, we're going off on a tangent, obviously, but the character actors, the faces in all those shows.
Oh, yeah.
They just don't make them anymore. I mean, one of the guys in the Hardy Boys.
Never get a Gene Shalit again.
Gene Shalit! I think it's fantastic. I think in the Hardy Boys episode, one of the politicians next with Lauren Green in it is who is the general in Hogan's Heroes? Not Schultz and not the other guy, but the one that would visit now and then.
I can't remember.
Yeah, he's in it. But the faces of all these people.
Oh yeah.
What's the other guy? Lawrence Luckinbill, is that who I'm thinking of? The guy with the deep voice? Is that who I'm thinking of?
Lawrence Luckinbill played Spock's brother.
Okay, that's Lawrence. No. Who's the guy that I'm thinking of that has the really deep voice that was in, he was the guy that ends up chasing the A-Team for years.
Oh,
really deep.
John
Lance
Ashley?
Legault.
Lance Legault.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, he's in a bunch of crap too. He's like in a Logan's Run, and
Yeah.
What a voice!
Wasn't Nicholas Hammond in a Logan's Run too?
He was. He was the Judas Goat. He was a Sandman disguised to look like a runner.
I think it's a crime that he did not get a phone call to be in that Spider-Man movie, especially after Once Upon a Time and how amazing he is in that movie. And he's in there because of Tarantino.
Yeah,
loving comedy.
Well, I don't know. Reb Brown should have been in the Captain America movie. I think they gave Ferrigno props. For gosh sakes, Garrett Morris was in Ant-Man because he played Ant-Man in a sketch.
Was he in Ant-Man?
Yeah.
Which one? The first one?
Yeah.
Was he?
Yeah, he was. When he, what's his name? When Paul Rudd's trying to use the suit, he crashes onto Garrett Morris's car.
Oh my God. Okay, I have to see it again. Maybe I just didn't catch that was Garrett Morris. So that's why he was in there though, is because he played Ant-Man in a sketch? Oh boy, I would have known that. Yeah,
boy, it's like so deep. Like I'm not saying the movie-going audience wouldn't go they'd understand who Reb Brown was, but the fans would dug it,
Then you'd have to get the guy who played Doctor Strange, who I don't think ever did anything else.
Peter Hooten?
Peter Hooten. I think he was in the original Inglourious Bastards or something. I think he might have been.
Yeah, he had a very short career, I believe.
Yeah. You'd have to get Peter Hooten for Doctor Strange. And
is that even possible? Is Peter Hooten even still with us?
I think he feels like he is.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to sitcoms.
Oh yeah, he's only 72, for gosh sakes.
Any other sitcoms that come to mind that had Halloweenish?
You know what? Yeah, I actually did have something, and I've forgotten all about how silly this show would get. Night Court.
Oh yeah, yeah. I recall seeing something about that Halloween. That rings a bell.
Mm-hmm. And I remember once I think one episode. I think they did it a few times, but one was Harry was he was dating a woman who ends up in court because she's a witch. And yeah, there's a few of them.
That was a fun show. That was always a fun show. I mean, John Larroquette stole the show. He stole the show every time, every episode.
Yeah, but he had a real. I was in love with Marky Post, but I like John Larroquette. I especially liked that super dark series he did a few years later.
Was it Dear John?
Not Dear John. No, that was Judd
Hirsch.
That was Judd Hirsch.
That was actually a British show. Another remake.
Yeah. I think it had the same therapist, right?
Probably. What was the one Larroquette? Oh, Larroquette did one where he was sober, I think. It was like
it was called The John Larroquette Show.
Oh, The John Larroquette Show.
Yeah. And,
that was a good show.
Yeah, I really liked that show, and it was very dry. And then I think they kind of retooled it, and it got extremely absurdism. And I was like, you know what? I actually like it better now.
Oh wow, I have to look that up too.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm counting Night Court did 5 Halloween episodes.
Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah, and I know Roseanne was big for those too.
Okay, I don't recall that, but it makes sense that they were the kids in the family and they'd celebrate Halloween.
Yeah, I think, and this is going back, but the one I remember that I liked was there was an episode. Basically, I think Roseanne caught her mother doing something and thought she was bald, like she was wearing a wig. And then it builds up. Turns out it's a Halloween prank on her, and her mother pulls off her hair and says, "I'm bald." And but they used to always like to theme the costumes and that sort of thing, similar to Love Boat. And I always thought it was funny how, like, and this is just a TV thing, everyone's costume is amazing.
Right. You know? Because they had wardrobe at the studio, put it together, but not the real people. The real characters could never have pulled it off.
Or, like if they want to promote a character, like, oh, I want to be Batman. Well, I'll call Warner, and they can send me a Batman.
Right.
I can't seem to do that. They keep hanging up. But
we should probably say, I mean, we could do a whole episode just on this, but I would say the kings, and if you want to call Love Boat a sitcom, then The Simpsons has to be a sitcom. The kings of taking the holiday and turning it into an absolute must institution of specials. Treehouse of Horror. I mean, I think they're still doing it. So we've got...
I haven't caught it this year. My son sometimes is more like my play-by-play. He'll just tell me. I was deep diving. There's on Disney Plus. There's a whole. They've put them all in one thing you can click on instead of having to search for them through the seasons. And I just started, letting it just go. Played like 3 or 4 in a row, and I haven't seen this stuff in 15 years. I mean, that time when the show was just at its peak. Absolutely stunning. Yeah. Every joke. And I was just laughing out loud. It was just, and brutal. The violence and the jokes. Yeah, in fact, I really hate one of the episodes. There was just a year where it just got too far, where they're eating the kids and their bodies are going in and out, and it was just like, whoa.
There's one where there's some experiment goes wrong and Homer gets miniaturized in Mr. Burns, but then somehow gets to full size. And so he's just kind of poking through burns.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the thing with two heads almost, but he's coming. He's like, I don't have a mouth. I mean, it's really macabre stuff.
Oh, yeah, they have some
really dark.
I think, I would say my absolute favorite one, and the one I quote from the most, is the Kang and Kodos election one, where, because first of all, when they take Clinton out of the White House and he just goes, "Is it noon already?" My wife and I have said that like consecutively for 25 years. And I don't think I've ever laughed as hard in my life as when the aliens are dropping Homer and they're spraying him with a liquid. And he goes, "What are you spraying me with?" And he goes, they go, "Rum!" So no one will believe you. And it's like, that is so stupid.
There's one where he, like there was one where Jerry Lewis did a guest voice where he's Professor Frank's dad or whatever, but Homer's phone rings and it's like, "Hi, this is, they're calling from the Nobel Peace Prize." He goes, "Well, it's about time." Like he's been waiting for that call. Like just shit like that is so.
Yeah, and I mean, like I love the whole Mega Man, because, they're paying homage. I mean, they've really done some cool stuff. I mean, Del Toro did one of the openings one year, and you got the Phantom of the Paradise in there. Those are beloved, and I don't know. I know a lot of people like The Simpsons is not just a you and I thing. It's now like everyone's thing, I think.
It's just in the vernacular. I mean, it's an extraordinary story that's gone as long as it is, but just that.
Well, what I'm trying to say is, I know a lot of folks, they have different feelings towards it, or they feel angry about it, and to each their own. But for me, and this is just my personal philosophy, The Simpsons to me is like pizza. So you can get really, really good pizza, and then sometimes you're at the airport, and that's the last thing on the carousel. And it's been there a while, but it's
You're
still
saying
pizza.
people get angry, that you said they get angry, like you mean the quality?
Well, like the quality of the show or changing things.
Well,
and I've been watching a lot of the criticism videos of the show lately just for boredom. And I couldn't quite understand, like a lot of these people are really good at articulating why they're disappointed in it or why they don't like that, and that's fine. But I don't disagree with them, but I just sit there thinking, like, it's grocery store pizza,
To be honest, I haven't seen it much in the last, I'd say 5, 6, 7 years, maybe. I just didn't really keep up with it, and I should. I can always.
Yeah. The most off-putting thing about it is
like 15. I don't know. I'd say 15 years ago, 12, so and so, whatever that was. It was like nothing against Dana Gould, obviously, but it was like right before I think he sort of took over the show, whatever that era was, where it was just every season just got better and better and better.
Yeah.
And they just went more, off the rails. I mean, there was, it's like when you say like, well, you probably couldn't make that joke today. I hate when people go, no, that's just because you want to be, you want to hate on cats or whatever. It's like, no, the truth is I saw some the other night that I'm like, ooh, that was even, I don't think you could put that in a script today.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff even from back then. But that was it was equal opportunity with that show, and it was completely off the wall. And
I think it's a lot of it is aged surprisingly well. But it has a life unto its own now, and it's this whole world of creativity. Like every morning I see on Instagram like Simpson mashup memes.
Yeah.
And some of them are really damn clever. It's like, I don't think this hard about this show, and I loved it.
And there's got to be people doing it that, weren't around for the first 10 seasons or whatever, some of this.
Oh, there's a really excellent Vice series about, I think it's an SL show called Icons Unearthed.
Okay.
And it explores the creation of the Simpsons.
Oh, I did see the trailer for that.
It's quite good. I found it hard to put down.
I'll have to check that out. But it is kind of, that is the thing I think of now when I think of Halloween themed.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They owned it. I think other shows have tried, but nobody's going to take it from The Simpsons until they relinquish it.
Right. Like, I'm sure Family Guy has done stuff, but I'm not a Family Guy person. I'm sure Rick and Morty has done stuff, but I might have missed it. Or maybe every episode is a Halloween episode with that show. But yeah, that's the one that's kind of, I mean, it's got like, how many of them that they've done? Like 25 or 26 Treehouse of Horror?
Oh,
I think that's a great idea, too, to do an anthology, portmanteau episode, and make it just be able to go anywhere. It doesn't matter if everybody dies at the end. And
they dipped into some obscure territory by the middle because they were kind of running out of stuff they could parody.
Yeah. There was some great stuff in those, but I'm trying to think of any even like shows that had. Oh, there was I'm just drawing a blank. I'm picturing somebody in a skeleton outfit. Maybe it's the Sweat Hogs or something. I'm picturing a show where the character's in like a skeleton outfit the whole show.
Hmm.
But now I can't think of what it is. I'll tell you one that you won't have seen, and I doubt anybody listening has seen, unless I'm talking to our UK friends. Inside Number 9, which is a show I've talked about.
Oh, yeah.
They've now done 8 series of, 6 episodes each. But a couple series or seasons ago, they did a Halloween episode. And it's nearly impossible to find unless you have BritBox in the US. I think it's still up on BritBox. But it was one of the most genius Halloween things. They still, these guys can play with the medium of television in a way that's brilliant. Like this newest season, they kept getting shit from fans for years going, why don't you do an Inside Number 9 on a bus? And so Reese Shearsmith, who's one half of the team, was always, okay, great. Yeah, once we do, then what's the story? What do we do once we're on the bus? You think it's really clever to do it on a bus. But they filmed a trailer. And when they put this trailer together for this newest season, they dropped in clips from what apparently looked to be a takeoff of On the Buses. And they were going to riff on the Buses for the 5th episode of the season. even made artwork for it, because every episode has this almost like a lobby card type artwork, describing what's in the show. And then the night and even the TV listing said, a number 9 bus comes by, and they got who's the guy? I can't think of his name right now, but he was in like Confessions of a Window Cleaner and all these movies from the 70s.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, what's his name? That little blonde guy.
Yeah.
God,
he's in the trailer.
Yeah,
and
of course
then
he is.
It's in the TV listing, and then the night that it aired, people were waiting at 8:00, whatever, when the show came out, and all of a sudden it was a brand new game show called 3 of a Kind or something. And Lee Mack was the host, and you've got 3 families, and they're each competing. And, I knew what it was. I mean, I knew it was Inside Number 9, but you wouldn't have known in the UK when it came on because you were expecting the bus episode. They never filmed a bus episode. They only filmed a mock trailer and made mock artwork, and instead pulled a fast one, and this brand new game show was airing, but it was a Inside Number 9, and you get it toward the end when things go off the rails.
Yeah.
So a couple years ago for the Halloween one, they did a live episode, and it started with the screen, you're saying Channel 4, whatever it was, or BBC, whatever it was, and you can hear the woman's voice saying, and now upcoming is the brand new Inside Number 9 live Halloween episode. Enjoy. And then it starts, and it's kind of, it looks like, what do you call videotape, like Doctor Who, whereas the other ones are more filmed. And then about 3-4 minutes in, the audio goes out. 2 characters are talking, and the audio goes out. And then the screen goes to the ident again, and you hear the woman's voice go, "We're so sorry. We're having technical issues, Mama. Please stand by. We're going to come back to it as soon as we can." And then they come back, but the episode has moved on. So now you're in a different part of the story. And little things keep happening, and she keeps coming and apologizing. And then it becomes, you know what? We're having some issues. We're just going to, please enjoy this previously aired episode. And they start running the very first episode that aired. But then the camera switches, and you're on set with Reese and Steve Pemberton in the makeup chairs going, what's going on? Well, I don't know. Apparently they had issues with the audio and now it's whatever. But you're seeing it live. And they said that when it aired, like 30% of the audience turned off and went to watch something else because they thought this was really happening. But they're in the live episode, you can see them looking at Twitter and reading tweets where people are going, once again, way to screw it up, BBC. And it was brilliant. And then it becomes like a haunted studio kind of thing with, not infrared, what do you call it? Night vision goggles.
Okay.
And it just goes off the rails. But it was a brilliant way to play with Halloween and the medium itself to kind of pull a fast one on everybody. And it's brilliant. It's so brilliant. I mean, I've ruined it if you've never seen it, but it's hard to see. But when you see it, you just go, wow, if I was watching this when it aired, this is genius. That you're risking people turning away to pull off the gag,
I felt, didn't Andy Kaufman do that as well with the TV flipping?
I think he did a thing with the vertical or something.
Yeah.
The image kept flipping and he wanted people to think that there was something wrong with their TVs.
Speaking of what something is wrong with your TVs, have you ever seen the Garfield Halloween special?
You know what? Probably did, because if there was now this is before he got his own series.
Yes.
Then I bet I
see that to me, and I've been waiting years to say this, is when Garfield jumped the shark.
When he got his own Halloween special.
When he is now trick or treating.
So
the reality of the Garfield. Yeah, he's walking door to door in a costume with a dog. Oh. And it's like, okay.
That's not canon to the comic.
No.
He doesn't do that in the comic.
Jim Davis, shame on you.
Sell out.
On your giant pile of money.
But I will say that as such things go, that Lorenzo Music doing the voice kind of worked.
Happily surrender at that point. There's no other voice for Garfield than Lorenzo Music.
Right?
Yeah.
I'll give him that. And I don't know if the dog ever talked. I don't remember the dog ever talking. But so he had
Odie didn't talk, I don't believe. Yeah, he had a Halloween special. And it's about ghosts or something. I can't remember. But I just remember being a kid and like going, oh, why is Garfield, why is he in a costume?
Why is he walking upright?
Yeah, this was just like a sassy cat cartoon.
Well, so, I mean, if we're doing...
I just wanted to end on a high note.
Specials, we get the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, obviously. That's another.
Yeah. Oh, of course, but we're not going to do that. I think we've done the specials before, but I thought this kind of sitcom-y one, and one we can explore again. I'll just have to do a little more research. I'm sure there was a ton of stuff in the '90s that I didn't see.
Oh yeah, hands down. Like I'm thinking about formative. But can I toss in? I know we've talked about it before, but that Addams Family TV special.
Oh yeah.
From '77 completely revolves around Halloween. Like not only
sure does
the comeback, but it's all about, they never shut up about Halloween in that thing.
No. That is a weird production.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah.
And it's October of '77 and they're already making Star Wars jokes in it. It just permeated every aspect of everything.
You know what, though? I think Star Wars really was like the first time a lot of us had that kind of promotional energy shot at us, like something so new and so different. I'll bet you we just we're not as susceptible to that as we once were.
But I think you're right, because I think, Godfather permeated, not the way.
Yeah. Jaws
did. There's, Batman obviously did, and it crept into other shows and talk show jokes and stuff at the time. But no, you're right. That was the sweet spot of.
It's just like pop culture couldn't get enough of it. You had disco dancing Chewbacca's on TV, and it was everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Monologues, late night monologues. Fashion magazines like Vogue had a spread with a bunch of 20th Century Fox lent a bunch of costumes, and they got women wearing furs, and Jaw was walking around, and stormtroopers and stuff, and it was everywhere. It was every bit of it.
Insane.
Yeah.
And it's going to end soon, I hope.
Yeah, probably. I wouldn't count it.
I think it's got
Don't hold your breath.
I think it's got some years.
Plenty more than milk.
Blue milk.
But yeah, there you go. There's some sitcom, Halloween sitcom stuff.
Yeah. What ones did we miss? Let us know, and maybe we'll do a follow-up.
Yeah. We're definitely doing another Halloween one.
Most definitely.
1 or 2.
Yeah.
Before this month is out, but there you go. Chew on that.
In fact, if you've got time this weekend, Jason, we could record them.
I'm sure I will.
Okay.
Sure I will.
Great.
Enjoy that, everybody, and happy Halloweeny. Happy early Halloweeny.
Happy early Halloweeny, folks. Cheers.